Good morning and welcome back to another edition of Coffee with Tom and Joanne. I'm Tom Matthews.
And I'm Joanne Toronto. Today, we wanted to talk about home inspection contingencies. And the reason we want to talk about them is for the last 24 to 36 months, a lot of people have been waiving this contingency. And there is opportunity in the market to be using one at this point. And we think it's important to talk about the different ways that you can craft your contingency depending on the scenario that you're in.
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
Because I think that there are certain times, right, Tom, where if there's going to be multiple offers and it's very competitive, that you may want to consider waiving it. But what if you have an opportunity to put a home inspection contingency on, but you want to tell the seller ideally what your intentions are? So
Right.
How do we do that?
So we use the Greater Boston Real Estate Forms, and in that inspection clause, they allow you to put a monetary amount that you're willing to kind of take on. And
Right.
what it is, it's kind of like the aggregate of structural, mechanical, electrical items that you as a buyer are willing to take on as repairs. Because the idea of a home inspection is twofold. One is you want to look for, are there any immediate needs that would need to be completed, like literally day one?
Right.
You close on the house,
Yeah.
day one, you have to make a repair.
Yeah.
The second part of the home inspection is to come up with that honey-do list that you're going to have to do over the next 5 to 10 years. So the aggregate is for that immediate needs type items that need to be done day one.
Yeah.
Because for a lot of buyers, they're putting anywhere between 5 to 100% down. You know, let's just say the average one is 5 to 20% down.
Yeah.
And after they do that, they don't have a lot of extra cash to do projects on day one. So that's why that home inspection threshold is there. So Joanne, what kind of numbers do you see on these?
Yeah, so I think that there are different scenarios, right? So if you're buying new construction and you're having a home inspection on that new construction, you really want to accept 0 defects in that
Right.
property because it's new.
Right.
And the reality of homes is that they start to depreciate as soon as you build them. So there are going to be things that come up on home inspections in new constructions, but the expectation of the buyer is that they are getting a brand new product that will not have any problems.
Right.
So while you can't foresee electromechanical things going wrong, that kind of stuff happens. Structurally, mechanically, electrically, these homes should be in tip-top shape.
Right.
So I would say on a home inspection contingency on a new construction, you're taking on 0 goose egg, right?
Yep.
Now, let's say you're doing a home inspection on a home that's in really great condition, that has a lot of disclosed facts about it. So, you know, the roof is less than 10 years old, the boiler is less than 10 years old, the air conditioning is less than 10 years old, kitchens and baths have been updated. Your expectation is that there aren't going to be huge capital improvements needed immediately on that house.
Right.
So on an 8-year-old roof, you're going into an inspection not thinking that an 8-year-old roof is leaking, but you're going to put a threshold there to cover any major items, right? So maybe you put $10,000 if it's a smaller house. Maybe you put $25,000 on a mid-size house or $50,000 on a larger home. And the reason that you do that is that you make that aggregate dollar amount commensurate with what your expectations are for buying something, you know, for buying a home of that vintage with those types of updates. And your agent will be able to help you figure out what's reasonable. But sometimes you just want to have the inspection for your peace of mind, right? So an inspection for peace of mind, you could write the inspection contingency differently. You could put $50,000 as your threshold. You could just write for information purposes only. There are a couple of different ways to do this, but that basically secures the position that you as the buyer would like to do a home inspection for your own peace of mind, to create your own honey-do list. But then also on the other side says to the seller, hey, we're not going to try and renegotiate anything after we go through with the home inspector.
Because I mean, that's the seller's biggest fear is that a buyer is going to use a home inspection to try and renegotiate a deal.
Right.
And we try to present to them, that's not our intention.
Yeah.
We're going to try and honor this. We just want to make sure there's nothing major going on. And that threshold can be, you know, some people put $1,000, some people put $100, but it is important to be strategic with how you use that, because it is sending a message to the seller of what your expectations are
Right.
and what your plan is
Yeah.
with the information that you gather from that inspection.
And also that you're not going to renegotiate over, you know, a cabinet that's poorly aligned or a door handle that doesn't latch.
or a window that doesn't open,
Yeah,
or stuff like that.
small things.
Small things. But what are big things? You might be sitting there saying, like, you're watching this video and you're like, what are big things?
Yeah.
Well, big things are, what if you find mold in the attic?
Mhm,
What if you find rafters in the attic that have been cut because
mhm.
someone was trying to modify the house? What if you find termite damage on the sills or the main carrying beams?
Mhm.
These are all things that Joanne and I have run into on homes that we've tried to sell.
Right.
And you want to like be very cognizant of those. Or what if someone says to you that the boiler, they tell you the boiler is 10 years old, it's actually 20 years old. I mean, those are important delineations.
Details. Yeah.
Because sometimes people fill out a seller's disclosure. Maybe they're selling mom and dad's house and they think it's 10 years old, but it's actually 20 years old.
Mhm.
You know, that's where that home inspection becomes very important.
Right.
And people always often ask, what is the timing of the home inspection?
Yes.
So the home inspection should be done anywhere between 24 hours after an accepted offer, typically up to 7, maybe 10 days after an accepted offer. And we typically say, get that home inspection done as quickly as possible,
Right.
so that if something does come up that's unforeseen, you can then bring in a qualified professional to really get an idea of what you're looking at. So for instance, only a licensed home inspector is going to take off the electrical panel. And if he sees a bunch of double tapped breakers or water into the main panel, he might say, listen, you should consult an electrician and find out what the remediation might be. And then you have time to get the pricing so you know exactly what you're getting at, because electrical can be fire hazards, and that's something you might want to do on day one.
Mhm.
Versus like we talked about earlier about the boilers, that might be something that's, you know, something that they may say a boiler is fully depreciated, but
Budget.
hey,
Yeah.
budget for it. It might last you another year, it might last you another 10 years.
Right.
And then on home inspection, you have kind of 3 options to go back to the seller. You can say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Home Seller, everything met our expectations, we're ready to move forward.
Mhm.
Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Home Seller, the home inspection didn't meet our expectation. We'd still love to move forward, but there's repairs that need to be done on day one, and we need either a price reduction or a credit.
Mhm.
And then the third option is the option we never want to try and get to, but it happens,
Mhm.
where a buyer goes back to the Mr. and Mrs. Home Seller and says, listen, there's too much work that I didn't realize, and we're going to withdraw from the transaction. We're going to take our money back,
Mhm.
which has been protected by this contingency.
Yep.
And thank you very much and good luck with your home sale.
Right.
And those are like the options. That's what we kind of look for. Now Joanne and I have been selling real estate together for like 19 years.
Forever.
Forever. And that's not 19 years combined. It's 19 years. So if you want 38 years combined. So we look at houses really closely. So as a buyer's agent, we typically don't have deals fall apart.
Mhm.
And we typically don't have it, but so we see it once in a while from the seller's perspective. But this happens more frequently for agents who haven't been doing it for a long time because they don't know what they're looking at.
Right.
And that's like really important as you're out there considering who to hire for your buyer's
Right.
agents.
And you may go through 1 to 5 home inspections in your lifetime,
Right.
and we're doing many of them over
Right.
the course of our career. So we understand what's reasonable,
Right.
what the solution is, how to repair things, just based on experience.
Yeah, both owning houses, both
Yep.
doing repairs and whatnot. And so we can give guidance and also perspective. Because home inspections, as you go through a home inspection, Massachusetts is a very litigious state.
Yep.
So they read kind of tough. The home inspectors have to be very strict.
Yes.
And
so we
that's
help you
important.
to interpret what the inspection says and stay focused. And that is why we always recommend that our client be present as the buyer, be present during the time of inspection.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for watching another edition of Coffee with Tom and Joanne. I'm Tom Matthews.
And I'm Joanne Toronto. Cheers.